If you don't know how to arrange your beats properly, you're going to constantly get stuck at the 8-bar loop phase. Your tracks will lack evolution and depth, leading to them getting skipped, and it can be difficult for an artist, vocalist, or rapper to record vocals on your track. I want to show you hit-proven strategies you can use to arrange your tracks, and make sure to stick until the end because I guarantee you haven't seen all of these. So I've quickly made this 8-bar loop here. If you want to know the fastest way to get an 8-bar loop into the playlist like this, you're going to right click on the sequence up here, click split by channel, and then when you have all the patterns here, you're going to click on the top one, hold shift and click on the bottom and drag this in, and it's going to drag all of these into the playlist like this. I definitely recommend separating every single layer like this, because if you have all of it in one pattern, you're not going to be able to have much control over what comes in and out. I made this arranging guide for a course I released not that long ago, but unfortunately it's sold out, but I'll link this free document in the description. This basically goes over the arrangement of top songs and some very common ways to arrange a track. I'm also going to show you how you can look at top songs or top artists and make the arrangement perfect for that style. So if you have a look at this here, we have an 8-bar intro, and then we have a 16-bar verse and an 8-bar hook. You're going to want to duplicate this 8-bar loop, and you're going to want to delete all of the drums. This leaves us with this very basic intro. The most common intro is just 8 bars of the melody. I'm going to show you a variation which includes the drums in just a minute. What I'm going to do is duplicate this twice, and this here is going to become the verse, and this here is going to become the hook. Because as you can see, this is 16 bars, and this is 8 bars here. In a lot of hip hop songs, the verse tends to have very raw kind of melody. It's mainly the drums that come in, and the main kind of melody pitched element is usually the vocals. So what I'm going to do is take out some of the wider sounding melodies. So if you have a listen here, this layer here is very high pitched and active. I'm going to save that for the hook. This is pretty dark. I'm going to take this layer out. And I'm also going to take out this guitar here, and we're just left with this here. If you analyze the arrangement in top songs, which I'm going to show you how to do later in this video, you'll often be surprised with how simple the melody is for most of the track. Now, if you have a look at this guide here, what this here means is times by 3. So you're basically taking the verse and the hook, and you're going to times it by 3. So in just a minute, when we finish fixing these, we're going to duplicate this twice, which means there's going to be 3 of them, and that's going to be the arrangement finished. But before you do that, you want to go and add any tweaks that you have to this here, anything special, you want to add it before you duplicate it. And just spending a minute or two adding evolution and adding some cool different effects and drops to this section here can have a massive impact, because that's going to keep coming out throughout the track. So one thing that you might want to add, I'm going to jump into the Emotional Essence library. It's got over 10,000 royalty-free samples and MIDI. You can get it for 80% off by clicking the link in the description. I'm going to grab this transition here and listen to how much evolution this adds to the track and the drop here. And you can duplicate this and essentially have this coming in the whole time. I'm also going to delete the start of this open hi-hat. And what this means is the open hi-hat is going to come in 4 bars into the verse here, and it adds some cool evolution having this come in. This is where things really get interesting. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to grab this melody layer here. I'm going to trim it so we just have the first chord. I'm going to place a random note later, so when this gets to the end, it's not going to go back to the start of the playlist. I'm going to go and open up an Edison. I'm going to click record and immediately click play on the beat. And then just wait, click record, click stop. And I'm going to drag this into the playlist here, and we have this cool little sequence here. I want to reverse this, and I'm going to change the in, just going to make it a sharper kind of rise up to the peak. And just like that, you created a unique riser that blends perfectly into your melody as it comes in. I think the best melodies are the ones that it's a little hard to wrap your head around it. There are some layers going on, there's some cool reverse effects, and there's some delays, which really makes it sound unique and stand out. And I think adding cool little sections like this is really going to keep your listeners paying attention, because they're wondering what cool effect is going to come in next. So what you can do is actually alternate this unique riser you have with this transition from before, so they're not going to be coming in at the same time. And then we have the hook come in here, which I think sounds really good. What I'm going to do is I'm going to click make unique on this hi-hat. I'm going to delete some of these hi-hat fills down the bottom. So for the whole hook, we have this simple hi-hat coming in. And the reason for that is we have all these extra melody layers coming in. There's obviously going to be some backing vocals and some singing or whatever happening. And I think it's really good to have simpler hi-hat just to prevent the beat from becoming overcrowded. I'm also going to bring this lead in 8 bars later to add some more evolution inside of the hook. I also deleted the end of this hi-hat here, 8 bars into the hook, which is going to add this cool kind of mini drop. I'm also going to click Make Unique on this 808 sequence right at the end of the hook, and I'm going to add a cool little fill at the end here. I see that the melody here is hitting on an A sharp, a D, and then a C. So I'm going to go over to this 808. We have the A sharp, we have this D here. I'm going to make this a higher pitch C, and this is what the 808 fill sounds like at the end of the hook. Then we're going to grab this whole section, we're going to duplicate it, and just make sure to line up this transition. And then when it's finished, all you do is grab the melodies, click duplicate, and that's basically a finished beat. The final track is around 2 minutes and 20 seconds long, which is a little bit short for modern times, but from the engineers and producers that I've spoken to, most of them really recommend having a little bit of a smaller file size for the beats that you send. If you're sending this beat out for placements, the artist is definitely going to have an engineer, and if they have the stems, or even without the stems, they can easily go in and chop and change and duplicate different sections and make the beat longer if they need it, but it's going to save hundreds of megabytes that you would need to transfer and that they would need to download. If you do want this to be a bit longer though, all you have to do is go in here, grab this section again, duplicate it, and then duplicate the melody, and then it's hitting it around 3 minutes, which may be closer to what you're looking for. And the only difference is this is just ×4 now instead of ×3. Before I show you some of the real gems that are unbelievably special, if you wanted to follow this guy a little bit differently, let's just say you wanted a 4-bar intro, the only thing you have to change is go in here, drag this back so that it's 4 bars long, Control A, hold Control Shift and drag, which is going to deselect the start here, and then you can go and connect this all here. If you're feeling like Metro for some reason, you can go and drag the kick back, drag the 808 back, go and trim this for just one section here. Go and trim this as well. And the rest of the recommended engagements are just self-explanatory. Let's just say you want to spice things up. You want to send beats out to Lil Baby or Gunna, for example, and you really want to know the song arrangement that they use. The first step is knowing that they have an engineer, so it doesn't really matter because they're probably not going to like your initial arrangement and they're going to change it anyways. So let's just say you want to copy it. I'm just going to drag the instrumental in here, and I'm just going to lower this to around 113, which is the BPM of the track. Once you've lined the beat up like this, you're going to double click on the track, right click on time, click project tempo, and then you can go and set your beat to whatever it was before. And now you can go and have a look at the arrangement of your track side by side with whichever track you want to be inspired by. So I'm going to line the intro up here so the beat comes in at the same time. As you can see, this is a 12-bar verse because it goes from 5 all the way up to 17 here. So what you would do here is you would go and grab the hook, go and stretch it out to be a little bit later and come in when the actual hook comes in for the song that you're learning from. And then just go and duplicate the verse, trim it back, and just like that, you have your hook coming in when the hook actually comes in from this song that you're learning from. So what are some other ways you can prevent your listeners from falling asleep when listening to your tracks? Well, one way is to add some cool automations. One way is to grab an EQ. I'm going to grab this one here, just the basic one that comes with FL Studio. I'm going to grab the knob that controls this high pass filter here, or this low pass, I guess you would call it. I'm going to right click on that. I'm going to click Create Automation Clip. I'm going to grab a part in my beat where I want to add a bit of evolution. Let's just say it right before the second 8 bars of the hook comes in. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to grab a point here. I'm going to place a point at 100%, which is just basically normal. And I'm going to drag this down here. So if you listen to this cool kind of effect, we have that cool kind of drop effect as we add this low pass filter onto this beat. I'm going to grab this reverse effect inside a gross beat. I'm going to click Create Automation Clip. Let's just say we add it at the very end of this bar here. And that's one other cool effect you can add. One more I'm going to add is I'm going to go into this melody layer here. I'm just going to add a gate. I'm going to automate this. And what we can do is we can just cut out some of the other melody layers here to just really make this one shine. And you can add a cool kind of slow down, lower pitch effect, just like this one in Black Spider-Man here. Now going into your track, right clicking on the master pitch, clicking Create Automation Clip. You want to zoom all the way in. You want to add a point at 50% exactly, and then you want to add a point that lowers it down to around 27, for example. It adds a cool kind of spooky sound to your beat as a kind of beat switch. I added a similar kind of effect in this beat I made not that long ago for a Mike Dean video. And let's just say you want to add so much energy to your track. You can go and make a layer like this unique. Go and click Control A and then Alt A, which is an arpeggiator. Change this to the range of 2, and it's going to sound like this. And you can mess around with some of these settings here. I'm going to change the range to 3 for this last chord. It's gonna add a lot of energy behind the scenes in a layer that blends into the track. And it's very important to be subtle with all of these changes, but it's really gonna keep people focused in a world where everyone has a very short attention span. So just like that, that's how to arrange your tracks and get them ready to send out for placements or upload on streaming platforms. If you wanna send these beats out to artists, all you have to do is make sure that every layer is in the mixer track. You wanna name each different mixer, whatever the layer is gonna show up as you send it to the artist. You're gonna click File and EW, which will export this as a WAV file. You wanna open up beat packs, for example, make a folder for it. I already have one here. Name this whatever you wanna name it. I definitely recommend having the name of the beat, having the BPM, having the key if you know what it is, having your name, and then clicking split mixer tracks. And every layer is gonna be its own WAV file, and then you can send this out to artists and the engineer has complete creative control. I hope you learned a lot from this and make some really exciting tracks that keep your listeners hooked, get artists ready to sing or rap on them, or get you placements. If you wanna watch a similar video where you can learn how to produce like different artists, how to make melodies, how to mix or master beats, click one of the recommended videos.